the idea here is that your motivation is sound, but what's the impact? And I think a lot of people out there, fans of yours, people who love you, people who are fans of you, like me, I've been fans of you.
You don't have to patronize me, dude. I don't know you. I never met you.
I'm just saying that this comes from
not
a place
everybody
of
has to
love.
like it.
All I'm
That's
saying
what we said. There are people who didn't want it to happen at all. You sound like one of them. It's
no,
okay.
no.
But did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
Like, what is the alternative to not talking? Just sit at your lunch table and don't talk to anybody. I said in the piece I did not think that was going to happen.
In that case, then go.
I love the people on either side who ignore the parts they don't like, and then and I just did it. It wasn't like it was 3 weeks ago.
Bill Maher recently had dinner with Donald Trump, and, as expected, the liberal corners of the internet lost their minds. Democrats, progressives, and keyboard crusaders rushed to their feeds, practically pleading with Maher to stay as far from Trump as possible, ideally at least 100 feet from anything resembling the White House. A few days later, Maher invited one of these outraged liberals onto his show. The guest wasted no time chastising him for daring to dine with the so-called devil. But Maher didn't just sit back and take it. True to form, he fired back, hard. He reminded his guest and the audience that this is still America, the land of the free, the home of the First Amendment. And yes, that freedom includes having dinner with Donald Trump.
I just wanted to report exactly what I saw. I did it to the best of my abilities.
Counterpoint?
I can be. Yes.
Counterpoint?
Yeah.
You know, Bill, I think you're right in saying that people have made too much of this, okay? It's not the Ulta Summit. You're not Churchill. Kid Rock is not Stalin. Trump sure shit isn't FDR, okay? So, yes, I believe too much has been made about this, but I think you've fallen into the trap. I think I represent 99% of the internet when I say this, is that you've played the game of proximity is principle. And what people are worried about is not your motivation. We believe you. We love you, Bill. Everybody loves Bill, right?
Let me hit pause for a moment and point something out. You know how these sycophants operate. They start by showering you with over-the-top flattery, all smiles and sweet talk. But just when you start to let your guard down, bam, they hit. You with the ambush, like it's some kind of personal betrayal. That's exactly what happened here. The guy kicked things off by gushing over Bill Maher, laying it on so thick you'd think he was angling for a job. But Maher, he wasn't buying it for a second. He saw the setup coming a mile away and called him out before the trap was even sprung. We'll get to that glorious takedown soon enough. But first, let's endure this painfully awkward flattery fest.
I'm not questioning your motivation. I'm questioning Trump's, okay? And if we can say that you went there in good faith, but maybe, just maybe, he wasn't there in good faith. I mean, you sold him on the Iran deal and he took it in. I mean, give me a break, okay? So the idea here is that your motivation is sound, but what's the impact? And I think a lot of people out there, fans of yours, people who love you, people who are fans of you, like me, I've been fans of you.
You don't have to patronize me, dude. I don't know you. I never met you.
I'm just saying that this comes from
not
a place
everybody
of
has
love.
to like it.
That's
what we said. There are people who didn't want it to happen at all. You sound like one of them. It's
no.
But did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
Like, what is the alternative to not talking? Just sit at your lunch table and don't talk to anybody.
Let's pause for a second and call something out. You know the type. They come in all charm and compliments, laying it on thick like they're your biggest fan. But it's all a setup. The second you start to let your guard down, bam, they flip the script and come at you like it's personal. That's exactly what went down here. The guy opened with a flood of praise for Bill Maher, so over the top you'd think he was auditioning for a role. But Maher? He wasn't fooled for a second. He spotted the ambush before it even got rolling and called it out on the spot. We'll get to that epic clapback in just a minute, but first, let's wade through this cringe-worthy compliment charade.
If you go on social media for 5 minutes now, you just have these tribal fury raging all day long. Everyone's got to be implacably there, implacably here. And actually, most Americans and most Brits, they're not like that. So there's this screaming going on between these tribes and actually walking across that line, sitting down, having dinner, having a laugh, having a chat. And then the idea that Bill Maher is now going to stop criticizing Donald Trump with him is preposterous.
Even Piers Morgan had to step in and call out the left's growing hysteria. Apparently, it's no longer enough to criticize Bill Maher for simply having dinner with Donald Trump. Now the narrative is that Trump somehow hypnotized him over appetizers and converted him into a full-blown MAGA loyalist. According to the perpetually outraged, Maher suddenly joined Team Trump and vowed to never criticize him again. Seriously? Let's be clear. That's complete nonsense. Maher never said he wouldn't call Trump out. What he has said, again and again, is that he refuses to join the outrage mob that obsesses over every minor Trump moment like it's a national crisis. There's a big difference between thoughtful criticism and blind performative rage. And Maher knows it. The left used to understand that too. But now, if you so much as speak to Trump without hurling insults, you're branded a traitor. Maher's not playing along. He's always been an independent thinker, and no dinner, no matter how controversial, is going to change that.
The fact that you began your little rant with the internet, that tells me everything. You take your cues from the internet. Good luck.
No, if you listen.
You know, the internet is a cesspool that just wants to fight.
You almost have to feel a little bad for the guy. He looked completely lost, like someone who wandered into the wrong party and only realized it wasn't a costume event once everyone turned to stare. You could see it on his face. He wasn't ready for this. Not the sharp jabs from Bill Maher, and definitely not the surprise tag team takedown courtesy of Piers Morgan. He came in expecting to deliver a smug monologue, lecture Maher from a pedestal of moral superiority, and stroll out, with a self-satisfied smirk and a sense of victory. But reality had other plans. Instead of the easy win he was clearly banking on, he walked straight into a buzzsaw of sharp logic and unapologetic truth. He wasn't prepared for a real debate. He showed up with worn-out talking points and the assumption that Maher would fold under progressive pressure. Big mistake. Maher doesn't just push back, he dissects. And with Piers backing him up, this guy never stood a chance. It wasn't just a takedown, it was a full-on televised reckoning. And the best part? Maher wasn't even finished yet.
Is going to be changed by something.
I said in the piece I did not think that was going to happen.
In that case, then go with
I love the people on either side who ignore the parts they don't like and then and I just did it. It wasn't like it was 3 weeks ago. I mean, watch it again. Maybe you'll find something new in it.
It's not a judgment.
Although, Bill, I don't know what the hell you said to him at dinner, but all hell broke loose within about 3 days of that dinner.
He was doing.
Were you giving him economic advice in there?
No, I mean, he was doing the tariffs well before.
We've seen Bill Maher dismantle his fair share of woke guests over the years. He's no stranger to cutting through nonsense with sharp wit and pinpoint precision. But what we rarely see is Maher lose his cool. He typically relies on sarcasm and smarts, not shouting. But this guy? He was different. He got under Maher's skin like a glitchy Wi-Fi signal. This didn't feel like a debate. It felt like a setup. The guest came in with a clear agenda, score cheap points, corner Maher, and walk away with some kind of ideological trophy. But Maher wasn't playing that game. Not today. You could see it building in real time. The frustration, the disbelief, the sheer exhaustion from the smug condescension being hurled his way. And when Maher finally snapped back, it wasn't petty. It was necessary. There's only so much performative posturing one person can take before calling it out for what it is. But before turning his guest into intellectual confetti, Maher aimed his fire at the woke mob that came after him for simply having dinner with the former president. And he didn't hold back. Take a listen.
As you know, 12 days ago I had dinner with President Trump, a dinner that was set up by my friend Kid Rock, because we share a belief that there's got to be something better than hurling insults from 3,000 miles away. And let me first say that to all the people who treated this like it was some kind of summit meeting, you're ridiculous. Like I was going to sign a treaty or something. I have no power. I'm a fucking comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute.
You could hear the frustration in Bill Maher's voice, raw, honest, and completely unapologetic. He wasn't just defending a dinner, he was defending a principle. Maher laid it all out, explaining that his decision to accept Trump's invitation wasn't about allegiance. It was about dialogue, civility, and the increasingly rare belief that we should be able to speak with people we disagree with. In a more reasonable world, this wouldn't be controversial. In that world, tolerance wouldn't be mistaken for weakness, and respectful disagreement would be seen as a strength, not a threat. But that's not the world we live in. We live in a time where people are judged not by their character or actions, but by who they're seen sharing a meal with. Nuance is dead, and outrage has become the new social currency. One conversation with the wrong person, and suddenly you're labeled a traitor, a sellout, or worse. Maher understands this all too well. And yet, he stood his ground. Because for him, this wasn't just about dinner. It was about defending the essential idea that free thought and open conversation should never be sacrificed at the altar of tribal politics.
Okay, so meet up in person. Maybe it'll be different. Spoiler alert, it was. First good sign, before I left for the Capitol, I had my staff collect and print out this list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy. Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog, his show is dead. There's 60. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it.
And this.
Which he
this
did.
Is the part that really sent liberals, Democrats, and the perpetually offended woke crowd into a full-blown tailspin. Bill Maher admitting that Donald Trump actually has a sense of humor. According to Maher, Trump was brace. Yourself, witty, disarming, even funny. Not exactly the fire-breathing cartoon villain the left has spent years carefully crafting. That one comment alone was enough to ignite a social media meltdown. Why? Because, let's be honest, the left was hoping, no, expecting, a dramatic showdown. They wanted Maher to storm into dinner, torch Trump with biting one-liners, and emerge with tales of ideological combat. But that's not what happened. Instead, they got something far more inconvenient, the truth. Trump, by Maher's account, was sharp, gracious, and, dare we say it, likable. Cue the outrage. This wasn't part of the script. Maher didn't deliver the fantasy confrontation. He delivered a reality check, and that's what really stings. Because if Trump can sit down and have a civil, even humorous conversation with someone like Bill Maher, then maybe he's not the one-dimensional boogeyman some have built their entire worldview around. That kind of nuance? It's terrifying. To them. In the end, Maher didn't betray his principles. He upheld them. He reminded everyone that free speech, open dialogue, and the ability to break bread with someone you disagree with aren't signs of betrayal. They're signs of strength. The left wanted a gladiator match and got a masterclass in nuance instead. Maher didn't cave to tribal pressure. He chose honesty over theatrics, principles over posturing, and that's what truly rattled the echo chamber. Because in a world hooked on outrage and division, the real act of rebellion is seeing the person behind the persona, and Bill Maher played that role to perfection. If you've got thoughts, drop them in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, give the video a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.